On today's show, we have Johnny Hastings, Black Hills blues guitarist and frontman of Johnny Hastings and Stillhouse Down. He's also the winner of the Wild West Songwriters Festival Regional Songwriter Contest. Known for his expressive road-tested riffs and a tight Americana blues sound. We're going to dig into his songwriting, his tone, and life on the circuit. Let's get into the show. This program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is my brother, Johnny Hastings. Johnny, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Finally, I'm here.
Yeah, well, it's a long time coming. Coincidentally, that's what I named the album that you helped me record this year. So,
All right.
because it is, man, but no better time than the present. Obviously, we mentioned off the top, some really big things have been happening around you this year. But before we get into all of that, I just want to give you the floor and allow you to give us a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in the Black Hills, and have been around music my whole life. My mom's a musician, a teacher, and she got me into it early, and it just clicked, you know, and I picked up guitar. It just kind of took off from there. I started playing bars when I was 14 and went to college for guitar in LA. That was a great experience, and came back, and now I'm just playing guitar and paying my bills that way. So in my mind, I've made it, whatever that is.
I mean, to make it right is to be doing what you love and to be, affording a life of that. Now, what that lifestyle ends up looking like, I think there's different levels of that. But yeah, big shout out to Candy off the top, man.
Yeah,
Your
that's
mom
right.
not only instilled that love in you, but in a lot of members of the Black Hills music scene. I had not realized it. I actually just met your mother, not this summer, but the summer before. And getting to talk with her, and she's like, yeah, I had all these kids in music class growing up. And it's like, wow, like so many people that are big players in the Black Hills music scene now probably got that love from your mom and that instilled in them. So really cool. She's the godmother of the Black Hills music scene.
Man, I just had a crazy idea since we should do a Candy Hastings festival. Like everybody she's taught and that's still playing music, bring all their bands together and just have a festival. Let's, have anybody she's taught. That could be a thing.
That would be one of the most brilliant festivals ever. And everybody knows each other, right? That it would be a big jam. The music would never stop.
No, but she's great. Thank you.
I know that, these last few years have been especially important. I think a lot of people around the Black Hills music scene would obviously recognize you as the guitarist for Camp Comfort, one of my favorite bands. A shout out to Nevada and the rest of the crew. But you've really stepped out as a songwriter. Me and you got to share around at the 2024 Wild West Songwriters Festival, and you put me into tears then, because that was one of the first times that I've heard you really step out as a singer and as a songwriter. And when I saw you as part of the regional songwriter contest this year, I didn't get to see you receive the award, but I had a really good feeling that you were going to be the winner, home turf advantage being what it is as well. But it was really a coming out party for you. Can you talk about kind of the year between songwriter festivals, from really just coming out and taking part in your first festival as a songwriter in last year's event to now this year being really focused in on, and then obviously winning the contest?
Yeah, when we played in 2024, I was shaking. I was so nervous. It was my first time playing those songs in front of people. like everybody knows me as the guitar player, you know, or, you know, I can sing with the band, but this was like songs I wrote from the heart. There wasn't a lot of guitar playing going on. It was more about lyrics and melody. And, you know, that first day before I played with you, I almost couldn't get on stage. And I've not really had to I haven't dealt with stage fright really until that moment. So it was a very foreign thing for me. And, I didn't like it. I was scared, but the next day when I played with you, I sat into my seat a little bit more, and I think having you there actually helped because you're good at making people feel really comfortable. You know, that's one of the things I love about you. But that day, it felt a lot better, and I was like, oh, I can do this. Okay, I'm not going to give up. You know, otherwise I was just going to keep playing guitar. And from that weekend up until this year, every time I would get on stage, I thought about the moment when I was really scared, you know, and I've just been working on that. And what I've come to find in the last year is that what calms me down and what is most genuinely what I'm trying to do is connect with people. And when I remember that, all that anxiety and fear kind of goes away, and I'm just able to express my songs in an honest way. And that was my goal this year, was to sit into my seat. I was talking with Mark Joseph, love that guy. He's always giving me good advice. And I saw him on Thursday at the pre-party, and I was like, man, I'm just a little nervous, you know. He's like, dude, just sit into your seat, play your songs, and have fun, you know. And I did that. But I really, you know, what's going through my mind is I want to connect with people, whether that's, you know, through my lyrics, through the melody, through a, you know, little joke I can tell in between. I'm not a very funny guy, but every once in a while I can get people to laugh. But I just wanted to be really genuine and honest, and I think that that happened this year, and I think I connected with people. I had I had home turf advantage, but I met a lot of people that I don't know and that are not from here that really enjoyed my songs, and that felt really good. Because as a songwriter, you're always like, shit, are people gonna like my songs or what? But I just didn't care this year. I just played from the heart, and my goal was to connect with people. Then I won the award. You know, I didn't expect it, because I was just there to connect, and it felt, I was happy. You know, I felt accomplished a little bit. I felt like my honesty and my connection with everyone was real in that moment, because they voted for it. But what a great experience. All the songwriters were incredible. I was so inspired. I got home, you know, on the Friday night after the first show, I got home and was starting to write new stuff, just because, you know, it's an inspiring event. I don't know about you, but I still have some of that, you know, happening now.
That's where I fill my cup, Johnny. I say it's my favorite
Yeah.
weekend in Deadwood, in a town known for events. It is by far, for me, it's my favorite. And while I enjoy being a songwriter, I enjoy being surrounded by songwriters even more. It's why starting this show a year and a half ago was such a natural fit. And it really gave me a chance to flex those superpowers, right? Making people comfortable, helping them to sit into their chair a little bit. It's a reason I have the Songwriter Showcase as one of our programs as well, because I want you to feel comfortable on that stage, because when we can sit into that energy, that nervousness, shout out to my old wrestling coach, Bob Forcucci, where he told me, because you get that same thing, right? You're stepping into that ring as a wrestler, as a young person. I, you know, only wrestled that 1 year, but that nervousness, you can't shake it, but it's how you turn that around and into the energy that you need to succeed. That's different. It's just excitement leaving the body, he would say, right? That nervous, that sweat, and that energy. And I've been able to turn that into a career, you know, spanning 25 years. I've been on stage, you know, since I was 14 as well, playing in smoky bars back when you could smoke in bars. Yeah. And turning that nervousness into connection, right? And Johnny, I had to play my first round next to Tyler Bills, and he made me
Yeah,
go
me too.
second behind him, right? My leg is bouncing around all over the place, and like Tyler just awed this crowd. And you're going, well,
Yep.
how the hell am I going to follow that, right? I'm not. And this man's been on stage, on huge stages, performing in front of, I don't know how big the crowds have been with Judd Hoos, but a 10+ year career performing on some of the biggest stages in South Dakota, on national television, right? How am I supposed to, hold a candle to that light? And it was settling into that and just delivering the songs. And that's really what Wild West Songwriter Festival weekend is like. Shout out to Scott Jacobs and the gallery there. What an amazing place to sit surrounded by his amazing art and to have people right on top of you, right? Like I was afraid I was going to spit on somebody as I'm singing and, an extra added nervousness, but a beautiful place to share my songs because connection is what I've always tend to do. Connection with myself, right? And I know you can speak from that. My songs are very personal. Every single song that I've written, I'm not, someone who spent a lot of time in Nashville writing songs to get famous. My songs come from a stroke of inspiration, a heartache, a moment in, my past, my granny passing away, or something that rung me like a bell, that the only way I have to get it out is through my songwriting. So I think, watching you this weekend, I was so proud of you, and sharing your stories behind these and your sobriety and how some of these songs were written at a time when you weren't sober and how they kind of, have so much more meaning to you now, maybe, or it completes the story now, where when you wrote the song, it didn't necessarily have that to it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, the songs are very personal. A couple about a girl or something, but they're about the hardest times in my life for sure. And that's comes with that connection, People want to connect, they want to know you, and the cool thing about that festival is that you have the opportunity to explain your songs in a room where everybody's listening. You're not in a corner of a noisy bar trying to play Sweet Home Alabama again, because that's the only thing that'll get people listening to you. They're there to hear your story and connect,
I know that most of your life has been very hard, right? And these last 2 years are probably the best 2 years of that life. I want to shout out a mutual friend of ours, Lisa Houghton, who shared some personal stories. I'm not going to share the stories that she told me on the air, but we all remember you being a very young man, and we remember, those early times of your life. I mean, I was in Dublin Square back in the day when, you were a kid and Oakley was sneaking you in to play shows and to be hanging around the scene at that time. And it was so important then and more important now, I think, to see the man that you've grown into and the man that you've become, especially with sobriety now, to be able to connect with people, because I think there's something to that. I think there's something to, not just being a musician, but being someone who's seeking out that connection. And I think that's hard to do if you're, on stage, throwing back shots and maybe coming at it with a little bit of an edge, whatever that edge may be, or a chip on your shoulder. I don't feel like you're the same Johnny now that you were 20 years ago playing in bars. And I still know, obviously, we're still playing in bars. That's just where our work takes place. Can you talk about, the struggle of still working in a lot of these areas, but being sober? Are there challenges to that on a daily, nightly basis?
You you say I'm not the same Johnny as 20 years ago or whatever when we were playing in the bars when I was real young. But I honestly feel like a couple of years ago when I sobered up, I kind of started over at that point when I was a lot younger. Like my brain just started to think like I did when I was before I started drinking or getting into drugs, which naturally happens in this industry. I mean, you go play a show, you might make 50 to $100, but you get free drinks all night, you know? Like that's something that just happens. And naturally, I know it runs in my family, but I I'm an addict, but so it ended up not being great. Now, that being said, I had a lot of fun and I still knew how to, I mean, I could throw back shots and have a good time on stage, but it wasn't, I thought I was trying to connect with people, but I was just trying to have fun, or feel something. So a couple of years, I guess it'll be a little over 2.5 years ago when I sobered up, I had to relearn how to be on stage and remember why I was doing it. It wasn't to get fucked up anymore. It was to, uh, yeah, I had to figure that out. And what I figured out, it was to connect with people and it was to make people feel something. But the struggle was getting past my own head without the substance, um, getting back into the music, and enjoying being on stage. And that's hard for me because I think I drank a lot on stage because I felt uncomfortable up there. So coming with sobriety, I had to figure out how to be comfortable on stage. And that was tough. And it's, in the beginning, it was tough to be, because I didn't stop playing. I kept going to the bars and playing when I sobered up. And it was a little difficult. I would see everybody drinking and thought I was missing out on everything. But the next day I was waking up and picking up my guitar or going for a run or doing something that bettered me. And that feels so good, man. I wish I would have done it years ago, but um I don't, even if you don't have a problem with alcohol, the next day it affects you, you're not the same. I don't care who you are, Um it it blocks something, and I was able to get through that and figure out that it blocked my my real self. I became somebody else, whether I had a one beer or 10 shots, which was could happen for sure. Uh, but the struggle was more how to be on stage and how to play music rather than just be in the bar and around it. That didn't seem too hard for me, especially after you start to notice these patterns of the same people doing the same stupid shit all the time, and you're just kind of like, all right, I'm not doing that anymore. I've got things to get done. And once I realized that, I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to be on stage, be comfortable. And I don't know when that happened. Maybe it hasn't yet. I still get butterflies, but it's a constant thought process, and like anything in life, you have to work at it. And but it's the best thing I ever did, for sure. My relationships are better, my music's better, uh, all my money problems went away. So yeah, I don't know. Um, it sometimes I feel like I make it sound like it was easy, but it wasn't. But I'm happy where I'm at. And if anybody else is feeling like you're just not yourself while you're drinking, it's because you're not. And I guarantee if you just step away from it for a while, you might never go back.
No, and I stepped a lot. I mean, when I was working at the factory, before I quit my job and really took into this media thing, I mean, I was coming home and drinking a 6-pack of Miller Lite Pounders every single night, right? Like it was just grinding on me. I was bloated. I was, 20, 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And, I haven't gone completely sober, but I don't drink like I used to. And I can definitely have one and stop, right? Like it's never been a problem for me, but I stopped drinking at shows a long time ago. Right. And even when I was performing, back in the day, where I just couldn't keep up. If I was going to do shots, and especially with me, where I was doing 4-hour bar shows, and it's not like I was throwing songs back and forth with multiple singers. I was literally singing for 4 straight hours. It's pretty hard to do if you're dehydrating yourself, throwing back shots and beers the whole time. It just wasn't happening. So I learned that lesson fairly early. I've forgotten it several times over the years. And I definitely feel that the music especially is always better if I'm sober. My connection with the crowd, whether they're drinking or not, is better, right? I've never needed it because I've been on stage and been in front of people most of my life. I've never had that, that stage fright necessarily. Hell yeah, I get scared, but it's never to the point where I'm not going to perform and have it scare me off of the stage, right? So I've never needed that buffer between myself and the performance side of it. Now, my dad, who played in the band with me for years, Jim has a 2 Bacardi and Coke minimum before he can even get up there and strap a guitar on, right?
I love your dad, man.
Yeah, and shout out to Jim, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't perform as much as he used to now, getting older, but just not having the guys around anymore,
Mhm.
right? As people have grown up and moved on, and especially guys his age. I know a big shout out to Pat Milos as well, another kind of godfather of the music scene, especially in the Northern Hills, where Pat was the guy who put me on stage for some of my first times and always encouraged me, just go out there and
Yeah.
have fun, right? Like, it's just about the music, have fun. Who cares if you screw up a note or whatever? And I feel like, it was good for me to learn that stuff early on and to have those early experiences being sober, being a teenager, right? Like, I couldn't drink in the bars for the first 5 years of my career. It just wasn't a reality.
Yep.
So I love that, finding it again for you. And you mentioned it. I was going to ask, but you already said it. The music is better. And where most people, musicians, especially if they're going to quit drinking, they might stop booking gigs and start playing less because they're scared of it. You actually ramped it up and you're playing more now than you ever have before. And some pretty big stuff, not just, more bar gigs, but I know you were featured at the Deadwood Blues Festival this year, the inaugural event. Shout out to Randy Brown and his whole team that really threw that thing together. And I know, did you guys do the jam this year, or was it just the Blues Festival?
No, we did the jam in 2024. So
Right, you
we
did
just
it the
did the
year
Blues
prior.
Festival
That's
this summer. Yeah.
right. Talk
But
about that
that,
experience a little bit.
well, the jam, that was our first year of being a band, I think. 2024. No, maybe second year. Yeah, we're on our third. So that was our second year of being a band, second summer of shows. And, Jesse Allen, he's a badass. I love that guy. He, put in a good word and pushed for us, and we got to play the Deadwood Jam, which was my goal from starting that when I started the band with Caleb Bume and Oakley Rathbun, and we, my goal I don't know if I said it out loud to them, but I was like, that's kind of the stage I want to play this year, or with this band at some point. And I got the call for that, and it was kind of a great moment. And from that, I mean, it just, once you do something like that and you get in front of the right people, other things start to happen. So from that show, we got the Levitt in Sioux Falls, a headlining show, which was the biggest show I've ever played, especially with my name on it. And thanks for being there. Then the Deadwood Blues Festival last summer, after that. So it was a summer of great shows. But the Deadwood Blues Fest was unreal. I mean, hanging out with Kingfish, and Samantha, Fish, they're great people. It was so nice to meet them and their band. All the other musicians, I've got friends all over the country now, more so than I did because of this festival. And it was just, I talked to all of them a little bit about this on the final night after the big shows. I was like, wasn't this just the simplest, easiest, smoothest festival you've ever been a part of? And they all agreed. Randy and the team did a great job. Nobody had questions about what was going on. We were all taken care of really well. Hotel rooms and passes and all kinds of fun stuff. As well as they did the right advertising and marketing. They got people there. It was full, you know. There was people at everybody's show all day. It was kind of like a songwriters fest, but for blues bands. You know, we were all at our own little location, and people would go around and find us. And you know, then the big show was on Saturday, and it was just a, you know, great experience. I can't wait to be a part of it next year. I know they've got big plans for some big artists, so yeah, it'll be great.
It's such a joy for me to watch you and the band grow. Shout out to that Deadwood Jam in 24. Vince
Yeah.
Converse obviously up there
Oh
coming
yeah.
back and kind of you know, I got snuck into the 10 when I was way too young to go watch Vince play back when he had hair, and to watch
Yeah.
him tear it up. It was probably about 100 pounds lighter too. But he was a kid, right? He
Yeah.
was, you know, 21, 22 at that time, could absolutely tear it up, but he was so much better and brought a killer band out with him. I know that you got to jam with him later in that evening over at Deadwood Tobacco Company. Huge shout out to a great bar and a live music venue in Deadwood. That was amazing. And it was a little too smoky for me to hang out inside all night. I did get some awesome video kind of popping in and out, but I was standing outside with a mutual friend, Sophia Beatty, and we're just standing out
Yeah.
back and listening. And you're just like, can you believe the sounds coming out of that little bar, right? Like, it's not a big place, but these are all, you know, what I would say local musicians, right? And I know Vince had brought the band up from Colorado, but man, these are people that aren't necessarily headlining national tours out there, and with some of the best music I've ever heard in my life. And I've been around, right? Like, I've seen some incredible bands play, and you're talking about people that have never even been on a stage together, just laying it out there. And I imagine that the Deadwood Blues Festival was much of the same in that respect.
Yeah, you know, the show you're talking about from the Deadwood Jam 2024, the After Jam, is one of the best things I've ever been a part of musically. I met Vince 15 minutes before we went on stage, but I've been watching this guy since I was 14, 13, 14, you know, when he'd play Dublin Square for randomly here and there. So I knew of this guy, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. Randy set it up, so I'm gonna do this jam with Vince Converse. It's his band, perfect. So I meet him 15 minutes before we play, and I'm just like, all right, I gotta be cool, man. I want this guy to like me because he's, you know, Vince is a legend, man. And you know, so I was cool, and we're about to play, and I'm like, I gotta make a choice here. I have to sit into his band, or just, you know, kick it into gear and be right there with him. And first note, we start the song, and I don't remember what it was blues, and he played something, and I just was like, shit, here we go. I cranked my guitar up. His amp was so loud, I was like, all right. I went back, turned my amp up, played the exact same riff, and just tried to trade with him, and we hit it off right away, man. And he's like a brother now. And that night of music, people still come up to me and talk about it. I get goosebumps thinking about it, and I can't even believe it happened, and I'm so grateful that I got to be a part of it, because I don't know if it'll ever happen again. You know, this year was awesome again after the Blues Festival, but there was something that happened in 2024. You know, you just have those nights. Some of them are really on, and some of them, you know, sometimes it's just like, oh, well, that was fun, but you know, you don't really think back on it. But that show you're talking about, you're standing outside of, is one of the best nights of music I've ever played in my life, and I'll always remember it.
Yeah, I actually
Yep.
need to go into my iCloud and download all those videos because they're not on my phone, and I'm just around so much good music, and I'm always capturing it. But it's like, oh, I got to go make sure I grab that and save those in the
You have
archives because,
video?
oh yeah, I got a
Oh,
bunch of
man.
videos from that night, and I'm glad you just reminded me of it. But in a lot of ways, it felt like for people that knew, that was a little bit of the Johnny Hastings coming out party that weekend was. And I have video of you on
Yeah.
stage at the jam, you know, that middle of the day set, always not a ton of people there, but I knew. And it was a lot of people's first like, oh, yeah, Johnny's really got something cooking right now. I was like, yeah, man, you guys should have been following along. And I'd been following the journey at that point. And then I felt like there was only a month in between the jam and then the Songwriters Festival. And seeing you in those moments, and we had talked about the jam, you know, at Songwriter Festival as well, but I could see the trajectory you were on. I could see that spark and that light inside of you really flip on. And I mean, you've just been so busy. You've done so many cool things. Now, what is the future? Like, is it taking the band on the road and starting to do more touring around the country? I mean, you've kind of played all the big stuff in South Dakota at this point. The Levitt's a great gig. I've got to open it 3 times in the past 3-4 years. I've never headlined it, but I've been on that stage and felt that. And the last time we played it, we opened for Armchair Boogie, Wisconsin-based kind of jamgrass band, and it was packed, man. And we did 45 minutes of all original music. So to me, it felt like a headline gig, right? Like, it's as headline as I'm going to get. I played nothing but my music for these people. And I kind of felt that way, as like, what's next? Like playing the Buffalo Chip, maybe, right? Is that, you know, can step up to that level, or is a step above what I've done. But I mean, what's next for Johnny Hastings and Stillhouse Down?
Well, like you said, you played original music. You know, our band is primarily covers. You know, we've wrote some songs, but you know, when people come to see us, they want to hear old Albert King, B.B. King, and Clapton, and all the crap we play. Not crap, but I mean, you know, just the covers we do, which I will always love, and I have a deep connection with them, so my interpretation of those songs is very personal and something usually nobody's ever heard, and they're different every time we play them. Nothing's ever the same. So that's another cool thing about them. But the next thing with the band is to get to, you know, we're all so busy, but to get together and keep writing and put a great EP together and send that out to the world. And naturally the shows just kind of come to us at this point, which is really nice. I've reached out to some people, but you know, it's a lot. I book and I manage and I front this band, and it's like, it's a lot of work, you know. I order the merch, I sell the merch, I drive to the gigs, you know, I do all the social. It's a lot of work. So booking a tour or something is hard, especially when I can, you know, book shows locally and we can make a lot of money, but I think it's necessary. So also hitting the road, that'll be something we do a little bit more in 2026. I'm hoping to record the end of this year, beginning of next year with the band. I want to be able to have something, a physical copy of something of ours to you know, have to show people, to send to people, to sell, and you know, then see where the road takes us. I've already got a couple of big shows booked for 2026. I don't know if I can say them yet, so I won't, but they're going to be fun. You know, we'll be back at the Blues Festival, I'm sure, and that's going to be killer this year. I think they're going to do 2 days instead of 1. Very excited for that. But you know, just staying, I don't want to overdo it either. You know, I have an addictive personality, so no matter what I'm doing, whether it's drinking or running or playing guitar, I have a tendency to overdo it. So last summer I played 96 shows. Yeah, about that, maybe a little more in 3 months. That was playing 2 a days, sometimes 3 a days. You know, I had about 6, maybe 6 Mondays off, and that might be overdoing it, you know. Although I like it. It gets my fingers working all the time. It helps with me singing. My voice is always ready to go. And I have different projects, so I'm able to play every day. I can book everything. I can do my solo act one day, camp the next, my band the next, and rinse and repeat, and it's great. But I'd like to do something different this year with the band, and that's, instead of just taking whatever gigs we can, deciding, you know what, we're only going to play this city, Rapid, Spearfish, you know, these local cities or towns one time during the summer, and we're going to charge to get in. It'll be a ticket, and we'll put together a show. And maybe that involves having a bigger band, maybe a horn section, that kind of stuff. But that's all, that's something I have to kind of put together because nobody else is going to do that, So it depends on how much work I want to put in and what I'm feeling. And we'll see where it goes. But a lot of things are going to be happening.
The Black Hills can be, and South Dakota in general, can be a blessing and a curse, right? And I've kind of equated, especially the Black Hills, while it is an island on the prairie, it can be an island for the music scene. It's so good out there, right? You're getting paid very well, especially when you talk to bands from other areas that, a lot of areas you're still having to like pay the venue to play there, right? Or you're having to sell tickets to get in and to have those different situations that we just don't, right? But I will say, because I moved to the east side of the state and started playing in the cities and to do more, that you can find a little bit of money. The problem becomes traveling with a whole group of people and being responsible for the guys, in the band and having all of that. I found a lot of success in traveling solo, because I play a lot of covers as well. I found a lot of success hiring local people to play those gigs so that I can travel solo and still do that. Not everyone has that capability or just playing solo gigs, right? But I will say that you have to get out and you have to take those risks to get out and play, even when it, means sleeping in your freaking car most of the summer. I mean, I had a while, I didn't play 96 shows, Johnny, but I put 40,000 miles on my vehicles going all over from Duluth, Minnesota to Austin, Texas, Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, Memphis, Little Rock, just getting out and touching all of these areas, playing maybe one little solo show, but now having somewhere that I can come back and put my feet down in the future, and realizing that it's a long process, right? You don't necessarily book that 26 city tour overnight. It can take you years to build up that repertoire to make it worthwhile when you land there, right? To just go do it and to come home broke and tired isn't always the goal. That's what I did this year, but I just was scouting territory, going, introducing myself, and realizing that not only is my brand of music accepted everywhere, but that I'm accepted everywhere. And I think that's sometimes the validation as musicians that we're looking for is like, are people going to like me? Are they going to like me here? And I will tell you, Johnny, that they're going to fricking love you. Wherever you go, whatever you do, they're going to love it, whether it's solo or it's with the band or it's, anything you do, people are going to like it. And I hope that you do get out on the road. And I think where you're trending with the local shows is a good idea too, because there's definitely there is something to oversaturation, both on the crowd side, but also on yourself. You find that you're just kind of playing for the same people all the time. And while that attention and that adoration is nice, it feels 10 times better when you can go out of town and when you have the ability to market yourself and to go out and to play for 100 people that you brought into a new building in a town that isn't your hometown. There's something to that too. And then you build on that, right? It's like Legos, man. They all start connecting. And before you know it, you have this beautiful thing that you've built. So you always know that I'm here to help you in any way. And brother, I know the struggle of booking and running the show and doing all the things and wearing a lot of hats, man. It's hard. It's the hardest job that you'll ever have. You're not only, a performer, but you're an entrepreneur as well, and running a business and making sure that everyone's getting paid and feeding, in some cases, their families, not just themselves. Right. So it's a lot of pressure, man. But you're going to thrive in this. I promise you that.
Thank you.
Now, to close the show out, go ahead and share where everybody can find you. I'm going to play a special track for everyone, a song that you really brought to life with your guitar playing. And I'm going to play one of my songs that we worked on together. But I want to give you the opportunity before that to share all your links and all that stuff.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I've got the website, which is also the other thing you have to do running the business or the band, so there's a whole nother side of it. The website is johnnyhastingsmusic.com, and that's going to have any of my shows, whether it's Stillhouse, solo, or Camp Comfort. I post on there about it. Johnny Hastings on Facebook, Johnny Hastings on Instagram. Maybe it's Johnny Leslie, my middle name, on Instagram. I think if you type in Johnny Hastings, I'll pop up. And we've got some songs recorded with Will Waller that are on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the things. I'm also going to have the Levitt live show coming out with it before the end of the year, so that'll be something to look out for. We got all the video and audio and just finishing the editing on that, so we'll have the full live show coming out, which will be sweet. But yeah, I post on socials quite a bit, so if you want to come see us or know what's going on, just check out Facebook probably. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And we got this song and others coming out on there. I got Johnny Hastings Blues included in the music. This song for everybody. We've played it a couple of times on the show. This one's called Drifter. That's not a great picture of it. Let's get it back here. You got to be able to see the Johnny Hastings Blues on there. We're editing on the fly here. I appreciate you, man. You've done so much for me over the course of this year, and this song, and the reason I wanted to share it was a big part of that. I've written most of my songs in a vacuum. I haven't necessarily written them with other people around me. And this, I cried the first time I heard this, and I really want to share it with everyone and with you here.
Once I was a drifter, all alone away from home, searching for an answer in my soul. Once I thought the wandering life was all I'd ever know, till I run out of places I could go. Now I'm too old to go walking down this long and winding road, too young to just wait around to die. Gonna go on living like my heart is still on fire, just a little differently this time. Live a little wiser down the line. Times have changed my ways, thank God I'm blessed to be alive. Watch my children grow.
I'm going to put that one out here soon. It's going on to streaming. It's already available on the website. And you changed the song, over top of that guitar lead. I never had a background like harmony vocal to that. And me and shout out to Tom Freer, Diami Drew playing bass on that one as well. Me and Tom are in there doing the vocal tracks. And I was like, man, like I'm seeing Johnny like this whole choir, like I got such a visual out of your playing that I was like, we got to layer these vocals in here, right? Because that wasn't a part of the song. And that's really why I wanted to share it. We haven't had an opportunity to really talk about it. And I'm so blessed to know you, Johnny. You're such a phenomenal musician. You're a great songwriter. And I feel like the rest of the world is waking up to that, especially with your, winning the songwriter contest and getting that recognition that you deserve. And that is going to help you propel to that next level. Right. And having, and I've seen it winning the Content Creator of the Year award, how much it means to people outside of South Dakota now to have that award. Maybe it doesn't mean a whole lot to us internally, right? The award is just, it's just sits on the mantle here. But having that recognition outwardly from someone else helps a lot when you're going to book that tour and I go, look, hey, I'm Johnny Hastings. I'm the winner of this award. And you watch their eyes light up a little bit so that when you're asking for a couple $1,000s, they tend to just write the check and to move on. So, brother, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you being a part of my life and my musical journey. And I just want to thank you so much for being my brother and for being part of the scene.
Hey, thank you so much. Love you, man.
Love you too, dude. Can't wait to get together and play some more music soon.
That's right.